Solve the inequality x squared plus 4x plus 3 is greater than 0. Graph the solution set and express it in interval notation. We're going to follow the same four-step process that we did with the last problem. The first step is to solve the corresponding quadratic equation. So we're going to write x squared plus 4x plus 3 is equal to 0 instead of greater than 0, and we're going to solve this. This is another one that can be solved via factoring. We need two numbers that have a product of 3 and a sum of 4. Those numbers are 3 and 1. And then when we set each factor equal to 0, we get x plus 3 equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. And solving gives us x equals negative 3, or x equals negative 1. Now we need to make a number line, and we want it to include both negative 3 and negative 1. So here we've got 0, negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. We need to plot negative 1 and negative 3, and we're going to use open circles because x squared plus 4x plus 3 is strictly greater than 0. So we've got an open circle on negative 3 and an open circle on negative 1, and these 2 points split up the number line into 3 different intervals. We've got negative infinity to negative 3, negative 3 to negative 1, and then negative 1 to infinity. Now we need to look at each of the factors, x plus 3 and x plus 1, individually to see which intervals they give us positive values on and which intervals they give us negative values on. For x plus 3, this is going to be positive so long as x is greater than negative 3. So it's going to be positive here and negative there. If you can't see that, you can test numbers in each of these intervals. When x is 0, 0 plus 3 is positive. When x is negative 2, negative 2 plus 3 is still positive. But when x is negative 4, negative 4 plus 3 is negative. With x plus 1, this is going to be positive so long as x is greater than negative 1, and it's going to be negative otherwise. Once we have figured out all of those signs, we can look at the product x plus 3 times x plus 1, and we can figure out its signs by multiplying the signs above. A negative times a negative is a positive times a negative is a negative, a positive times a positive is a positive. Now, we want this expression, x squared plus 4x plus 3, to be greater than 0. We want it to be positive, and we can see that that's the case on these two outermost intervals. First is the interval from negative infinity up to negative 3, and then also the interval from negative 1 up to positive infinity. So unlike the previous example, this one has our solutions on the outer intervals. And in fact, there are 2 of them. We can still put this in interval notation, but there's a symbol we use when we have 2 intervals that are a part of the solution. We write the first interval, which in this case is negative infinity, comma, negative 3. And then we write a symbol that's called the union symbol. It looks kind of like the letter U, but it's not. It's its own symbol, and it doesn't have a little tail like U does, so don't ever write it like that. And then we write the other interval, which is going to be negative 1 to positive infinity. And then this is our answer for interval notation. We also have our graph, and so this represents the solution set to the inequality x squared plus 4x plus 3 is greater than 0.